Hey y'all, hey, what's up? Your girl is here, your girl is back. What's going on? Hello, hello, hello. So this is a different video. Did you see the intro? Did you see the intro? That's right. Our little Pepper is a full-blood bitch. Yes. So happy. Anyway, so she has her menstrual, and so I was very surprised to see it, and but yeah, and so your girl's sitting up here tonight on a Thursday night. It's not California roots. It's not. I told my husband, just bring me some sangria. And I wasn't specific. I mean, so if I was to talk about it, I would say it's not my favorite. Obviously, I love California roots. I think it does taste better. This actually tastes like a very inexpensive wine. It's a little too sweet for my taste. That's why you see the ice, because I do want to water it down a little bit because I wouldn't have been able to drink it. But it's fine. It is not the sangria that I'm used to, but that's okay. I had posted this tour video of this room, and I said, and I featured this plant, and I said, hey, if you want to see me make this plant over, bring it back, then, give this video a thumbs up. Well, that video had 700 views so far, which in such a short period amount of time, that is a large number of viewers for me. And of those 700, 10% of them gave me a thumbs up. So over 70 people said, I like this video, we want to see it, so I'm here to give the people what they want. I didn't have any thumbs down, so I'm like, so I came back, I looked at it today, and I'm like, okay, cool. So thank you so much for watching, and hello to my new subscribers. I know I've picked up a few subscribers along the way. Thank you for stopping by and checking out my videos and deciding that you want to see more of me. I appreciate you. And the closer I get to 600 subscribers, I'm going to do my giveaway, every 100. Here we go. So 6 plants about to give away soon, hopefully. But today we're here to let's make over this plant. Okay, so this is a bird nest fern. And look what I have it planted in right now. It is probably in, I don't know, but it is, I can't even tell you what is in. But you can just see the shape of this plant. It is just horrible. Now you might be asking, well, why are you so confident that you can make this plant over? Because this was another bird nest fern, not quite the same as this one, but pretty similar. And this one had went through a lot of changes in my home, and it had gone through, it was a much bigger plant when I got it, and it had gone through a lot of changes, and I repotted this, and this plant has been doing great in my care now for over 6 months. It has tons of new growth, and it's doing really, really great. So I believe that I can do the same thing for this one. So here we go. So let's do a little plant talk, and let me tell you a little bit about the plant. Okay, so bird nest fern. I am just going to put the Latin name up. This particular one is like Epiphyllum nymph. Just going to put it up there. But what these are epiphytes. These are epiphyte plants, meaning that they do not necessarily need to grow in soil. Traditionally, in their native land, they grow attached to other plants, like a tree. So as an epiphyte, it does not need to be in the soil like this. It's also from very tropical places on the planet, such as Polynesia, Hawaiian, Southeast Asia, Australia, and Madagascar. These are common places where you would see bird nest ferns at. This fern is really hardy in those particular zones of 11 to 12. So what I have learned over time is like try to create that environment as best as you can. And this plant, I've had it for a year and it has just never really excelled. It's only declined in my care. So now I'm just like, okay, let's see if I can rescue this before it completely dies. And I'm rescuing it from my own ignorance right now because that's why it looks the way it is. But let me pause for a drink. Hold up, hold up. Okay. So, one of the first things we want to do is know certain conditions about it. So I read this stuff. I did some research. I always do research. And I do research beyond YouTube. And it says, you know, one of the plants that they have to do is keep watering medium. And I hate that term because I don't, what the hell does that mean, medium? What is medium? Because of this plant, this is what I discovered. I'm going to just try to say it as plainly as I can. Do not let your plant dry out, but do not keep it sopping wet. A nice middle range is what this plant needs to maintain in order to be healthy. Like, for the sake of the video, can you see that? You see, this is in the red. This is a no. Don't do that to this plant. This plant is not going to be happy. Now, you can get away with it for a few times and it may forgive you. I just went ahead and watered that. I'm trying to find the ideal range. It's not quite. Let's see. I tried to catch that ideal range. That's the ideal range for this plant. For ferns, this is, well, now I'm not talking about those Boston fern looking plants over there. I'm not talking about that, okay? That's still a learning in progress for me. We are not going to discuss these plants over there. These plants over here, although they are epiphytes, they require tons and tons of humidity. This plant does not stay up here. So we'll talk about humidity in a second. But this is where you want this plant sort of to maintain within that green range. And if you have a water meter like mine, I like to keep this between 4 and 7. Try to maintain that at 4 and 7. If it does dry out, it's not going to be the end of the world, but you don't want to do it constantly. You want to maintain, it where it's like, okay, cool, I'm cool, you cool, keep me happy. I don't like to be dry. I don't like to be sopping wet. That's what I say medium is. You know, like when they say medium, when you read someplace medium with it, it's like it's mid-range. It's exactly what it says. It's a medium. Keep it in the middle as far as I'm concerned. So that's step one. Next, I think you have to create a sort of environment like this. So I think it's important that you use a soil that's going to retain some moisture. And since these are epiphytes, you don't need to use the traditional soil that you're used to, like a potting mix. I wouldn't recommend your traditional potting mix. And I wouldn't recommend that you go out. I guess this is an epiphyte plant, but this is not like your orchids that can just pull moisture out of the air. These roots do like to stay moist. They don't want to dry out. So it's not like a complete, let me go out and put it in some bark. So with that in mind, I have decided, for me and what I have had working for over the last 6 months with this plant, I'm going to take it up a step. This plant right here is completely in coconut coir. Nothing else but coconut coir. But it's not perfect. And so you got little dry tips here. So what I'm going to do with this plant is I'm going to give it a mixture of coconut coir, and peat moss. Not sphagnum moss, peat moss. I do use sphagnum moss on other plants, but for this one, I'm thinking the peat moss and the coconut coir together might be the perfect mixture, because what the peat moss does is that's designed to hold moisture, but I don't want to keep it sopping wet, so I don't want to have it hold the moisture a lot. So, and that's what a coconut coir is. It's going to allow for that drainage and still keep it wet. And another thing that I'm going to do, the container matters. This container here, this is actually a clay container. And I am not going to use a clay container with this, nor am I going to use plastic. I am going to use ceramic. I picked these two up. Huge glare. I picked these two up at Walmart. These were at Walmart. These are, they said they're 0.7, but they're like around a 4-inch, a little bit bigger than a 4-inch, I think. They were $2.50 a piece. Picked up two for $5. And we're going to plant this up in there. Now, before we get started with this, because I'm going to talk to y'all about some other stuff. Next thing you want to talk about is humidity. Okay, so with bird nest ferns, bird plants ferns, they require a moderate amount of humidity. Meaning that you do not have to keep it in like a room like this. Where this room is where I have a lot of my plants that require high humidity, and during this particular winter, even though I live in South Carolina on the coast, which is very humid here, during the winter time we experienced a lot of dryness. So how did I combat that? I almost lost several plants, so I brought them up here in a more controlled environment. And where I keep it, when I consider a high humidity for me, is I like to keep this room 65% or higher. Now, there's been a couple of times where I've gotten it too high, like it was 85, and that is entirely too hot. But one thing I do like to do is just to keep it between 60 and maybe no more than 68% humidity. I like to run my ceiling fan to keep the air circulating all the time here. And this room does have not one, but 2 humidifiers. And the one's over here, I'm like, okay, I'm a stewardess. One's here, and the other one's there. And I guess I could show you, but yeah. And that works for these high humidity plants. And I do have a lot. Right now, the humidity is a little high in this room. It's 71%. I just looked over at my little humidifier there. These ferns, bird nest ferns, not to be confused. I have no education with this Boston fern over here, okay? I'm not claiming anything with this Boston fern. Do not apply this information to this Boston fern. This Boston fern is in here because it demands high moisture. Whereas the simple bird nest fern that we are dealing with today, it only requires that you have a moderate amount of humidity, meaning that you can place this on a tray of pebbles and set it with and pour a little bit of water in it. You can just get away with a mess on a daily basis with it, and it will be fine. But I do recommend that you do it daily. And sometimes, depending on your climate, you may have to do it several times a day. But it's okay. If you have the time, go ahead and give it to it. So you're probably like, okay, so we have humidity out the way, moderate. What about sunlight? Well, let's remember that these are epiphyte plants, but these epiphyte plants also, which means epiphyte plants means likes to cling to other plants. So in this case, a tree, let's say. Well, as many times as you've seen ferns, they're on the lower part of the tree. They're near closest to the ground, and that's what they have attached to. So when you're thinking about it, then think about what type of sunlight that fern is getting. It's getting shade. It is never getting direct sun. It's getting partial shade. It's getting low shade. It can survive. I'm going to insert a clip here, and I'm going to show you with this plant, where it sits every day in my home, and I'm going to show you the type of light it receives. Go ahead, watch that. Be right back. Okay, guys, so the time is 12:30 in the afternoon, and here is some light coming here. There's some light there, and you can really see where the main light is coming from. And if I sit back, give you an idea of where this plant sits at. This is this plant's home. It sits here all the time. The midday light, I guess, or afternoon light that comes through. It will increase later, and I'll come back. Hopefully, I'll remember to come back and show you, because I didn't remember to show you here in the morning. In the morning time, there's a lot more light on this side of my house. So this room is a little bit more brighter. And it's a little cold than what I would normally. It's dry down here. But again, I just keep this moist. And for the most part, it's going to have, as you can see, the dry weather over the winter. The tips are a little wanting. But really, this plant just does a great job here. Okay. So you're back. Okay, great. So yeah, and that's what it gets. The most light it gets is the afternoon sun around 4 p.m. I guess around 3:30, 4 p.m. in the evening. That's the maximum amount of sun it gets. It sits on that table all day long. That room does not get a whole bunch of sunlight. It gets moderate light. And when we're having these weeks where it is just completely no sun, then it gets no sun. And that remains, and that's another thing about this plant. This plant can tolerate for short periods of time, which is going to sound ridiculous, but for an extended period of time, it can tolerate absolute shade. 100% shade for short period of time. So you don't need to keep this in your east facing window. You don't need to keep it in your bathroom that's filled with lots of tons of humidity. I mean, you really don't need to. This plant has done really well for me. It looks great. Hey, it looks great in this work. And this plant was a handful. This plant was much bigger when I got it, and I actually had to downsize it, which is exactly what we're going to get started with this. So I've talked for 15 minutes to give you some background. I hope that was okay. If it wasn't, please feel free to forward the video to 17 minutes. That's where the actual planting began. Now, let me adjust the camera so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, guys. So, first thing we're going to do here is we're going to take the plant. And this is just one of these two-part wicking systems, and I don't like them, but that's what it is. Okay. Now, the reason why I want to downsize it is like you can't see any roots at the bottom, so there are no roots coming through. And this looks like this was a mixture of some bark and something else in here. Wasn't doing, oh, there are roots. Oh no. So the little, it looks like the mama plant died, or maybe the pup did. So I'm just breaking it up because I really want to get this plant down as close to the bare roots as I can, so I can introduce it. To a new form of soil. And if you watched my last video, I told you in there that I was I wanted to build me a different type of soil system. And I guess I will have to update you guys at a later date, probably at the end of the summer or something, and just show you how that looks in this room. Because I don't want to take away the aestheticness of it. So you see here, I'm just really just rubbing this off. And I had 2 plants, but it looks like I'm really just down to 1. So I am truly downsizing this into a 4-inch pot. So, which I think it'll be fine in. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with some, and that's the coconut husk. Be right back. Okay, to this I've added the peat moss, and so we have peat moss. I'm just going to pour a little bit of it out. There's nothing else I'm putting in here. Putting in the peat moss and the coconut husk. I am going to fertilize this. It's not really centered, but that's okay. I'm going to add in this coconut husk here because once I moisten this plant, it is really okay. And of course, I do not have my water can nearby because that would have mean I was. So I'm going to go ahead and water this off camera, and then I'm going to come back. Okay guys, I'm back up top. So I was going to do it off camera, but found my watering can. So just gonna quickly water it. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I don't know if this is ceramic. I don't think so. I think this is clay. This is not ceramic. This is also a clay pot that's painted. It has a really good paint job on it, which that may work out for me better because these were only $2.50. Ceramic would be a little bit more pricey. So this has a really healthy root system. Okay. So here we are with our little plant, and the only thing that's in here is some peat moss and coconut husk. There is no perlite. There is no bark. There is nothing to drain that except for so this peat moss is going to hold a little bit extra moisture. The coconut husk is going to give me a little bit drainage, but it's not going to be soaking wet. The most important thing here is water control. So that's why this water meter is really important. There is a drainage hole in here, but if you notice, it's not dripping out of the bottom because I didn't pour a lot in. I didn't use a lot, and I don't want to use a lot of water. I want to be able to monitor it. I will keep you updated. I wish this was a time-lapse video and I can just be like, okay, here we go 4 weeks from now and show you the progress on this plant. So it's up to you to remind me to do it. So if you want to know an update on this plant, please give this video a thumbs up. Okay, thumbs up. I check my thumbs up all the time now because it is something that I'm asking my viewers to do, and then even if I forget, I go back and I see how many thumbs up I've gotten, and then I rewatch the video, and then it's like, oh, okay, let me give them an update on this. So, or let me make this video. That's how I made this video today. I went back, I checked my thumbs up, I saw that I had over 70 likes. Here's your video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this. So, If you want me to keep you updated this on about a month from now, please like this video. If I get over 40 likes, I will give you an update on this plant in a month. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you, and I'll be back next time for more Latanya planting and drinking. Toodles.